Have you ever had a moment when everything was right, except your body didn't cooperate? You were ready. She was ready. But your body whispered a quiet, humiliating no. For millions of men, that moment is happening more often and earlier in life than we ever expected. It's the kind of thing we don't talk about with our friends. We laugh it off, blame it on stress, maybe even the drinks. And sometimes that's true. But deep down you wonder, is something wrong with me? Here's what no one tells you. You're not broken, but you may be blocked. Blocked by something that's been building up over time, quietly, consistently, and invisibly, until one day it shows up in the most personal, frustrating way imaginable. We're talking about erectile dysfunction, but not in the way you've heard about it before. Because this isn't just about getting older, testosterone, or performance anxiety. There's a growing body of evidence pointing to something far more sinister and far more controllable. Not drugs, not genetics, but food. That's right. The very things we put in our grocery carts, reheat in microwaves, and eat on autopilot could be quietly sabotaging one of the most basic functions of manhood. Erectile dysfunction isn't always caused by one traumatic event. It's often death by 1,000 cuts, or more specifically, thousands of calories, preservatives, and chemicals that have absolutely no business being in a healthy body. Here's the reality. An erection is not just about desire. It's about blood flow. It's about vascular health. And it's about the chemical signals your body sends when it's time to rise to the occasion. And that system, the beautiful, complex, sensitive system that allows men to perform, is under attack every single day. Not by enemies in lab coats, but by the food on our shelves, the ads on our screens, and the habits we've been trained to follow since childhood. Think about this. How many men know more about carbs and protein than they do about nitric oxide? How many of us can quote bench press numbers, but ignore blood pressure? And how many silently suffer while the root cause is sitting right there on their plate? Here's what's worse. The advice we've been given for decades? It's been diluted, dumbed down, and in some cases flat out wrong. Just eat less. Go low fat. Protein is king. Sugar's okay in moderation. Salt isn't a big deal. Sound familiar? But here's the thing. Erectile dysfunction can often be an early warning sign of something even more dangerous, a canary in the coal mine for heart disease, diabetes, metabolic syndrome, and more. Because the arteries in the penis are tiny, about the diameter of a strand of spaghetti. When they clog or stiffen or lose responsiveness, the effects are felt there first, sometimes years before symptoms show up anywhere else in the body. So the next time someone jokes about not being able to get it up, remember, it's not funny. It's a signal, a warning flare, a symptom that something beneath the surface may be starting to fail. And here's the part no one tells you. It might not be about age. It might be about eggs fried in butter, or meat cured in nitrates, or sodas packed with 40 grams of sugar. The truth is, we've normalized a diet that's abnormal for the human body, and our hormones, blood vessels, and sexual function are paying the price. But don't worry, this isn't another guilt trip. It's not a shame spiral. This is clarity. Because if food is part of the problem, then food can also be part of the solution. So today, we're pulling back the curtain. We're going to show you exactly which foods are linked to weaker erections, diminished blood flow, hormonal chaos, and long-term vascular damage. We'll talk about how they affect your body biologically, chemically, and hormonally. And more importantly, we'll give you real solutions, backed by research, built on facts, designed to help you take control. Because it's not about blame. It's about awareness. It's not about perfection. It's about power. So what does the science actually say? Get ready. The answers may shock you. Let's start with something uncomfortable. Most men think erectile dysfunction starts in the bedroom. But according to the Mayo Clinic, it often starts in the kitchen. Harvard researchers confirmed this in a 2016 study, which found that men who regularly consume diets high in processed meats, fried foods, refined grains, and sugary drinks had significantly higher rates of erectile dysfunction, even when they were under 50 years old. Let that sink in. We're not talking about aging. We're not talking about a stressful week. We're talking about food quietly eroding your vascular health long before you ever notice a problem. Here's why that matters. An erection relies on blood vessels expanding. That expansion is triggered by nitric oxide, a molecule your body produces naturally when it's healthy. But when your diet is loaded with certain foods, that nitric oxide system gets choked off. It's like trying to water your lawn with a hose that's filled with cement. The blood can't flow. The signal can't reach the target. And what should be a simple biological response turns into a silent failure. Let's break down the biggest culprits and the science behind them. 1. Saturated fats and trans fats. You'll find them in red meats, full-fat dairy, fried foods, and fast food. These fats contribute to atherosclerosis, plaque buildup in your arteries. Imagine your arteries as flexible tunnels. Over time, plaque acts like tar, making those tunnels narrower, stiffer, and less responsive. The result? Less blood flow where you need it most. In a study published by the Journal of Sexual Medicine, men with diets high in saturated fats had significantly lower erectile function scores than those on heart-healthy diets. It's not just theory, it's biology. 2. Processed and ultra-processed foods. These are your frozen dinners, packaged snacks, sugary cereals, and deli meats. They're engineered to taste good, but biologically, they're a disaster. These foods are high in sodium, preservatives, and artificial additives. But the biggest danger? They drive chronic inflammation and insulin resistance, two massive contributors to ED. Inflammation stiffens blood vessels. Insulin resistance weakens hormone signaling. Together, they sabotage sexual function. One meta-analysis from the British Medical Journal linked ultra-processed food intake with higher risk of cardiovascular issues. And guess what? ED is often the first sign of cardiovascular damage. 3. Sugar and refined carbs. White bread, white rice, soda, candy. Most breakfast cereals. These aren't just empty calories. They spike your blood sugar, crash your insulin, and raise your BMI. And here's the kicker. High blood sugar levels damage the lining of your arteries, the endothelium. This is the same lining responsible for triggering nitric oxide release. So every time you pound a soda or crush that second donut, you're not just risking diabetes. You're literally weakening the mechanism that powers your erections. 4. High-sodium foods. Salt in moderation is fine, but most of us aren't consuming it in moderation. Processed soups, canned foods, sauces, fast food, all contain massive doses of sodium. Too much salt increases blood pressure, which stiffens and narrows arteries. And guess what that does? It limits the body's ability to pump blood efficiently to your extremities, including the one that matters most in this conversation. According to the Cleveland Clinic, men with high blood pressure are twice as likely to experience erectile dysfunction. 5. Alcohol, especially in excess. Now look, we're not here to demonize the occasional drink, but chronic alcohol intake? That's a different story. Heavy alcohol use interferes with testosterone production, damages nerves, and disrupts nitric oxide pathways. Long-term, it also leads to liver stress, and a struggling liver means hormone imbalance. One study in the Indian Journal of Psychiatry found that up to 72% of chronic alcohol users reported sexual dysfunction, including decreased libido, premature ejaculation, and, you guessed it, erectile dysfunction. And here's the wild part. Many of them were under 40. 6. Processed meats and preservatives. Hot dogs, bacon, sausages, cold cuts. These contain nitrates, nitrites, and other preservatives that create compounds called AGEs, advanced glycation end products. These AGEs accelerate vascular aging and reduce nitric oxide production. It's like aging your arteries in fast forward. Researchers at the University of California found that men who consumed processed meats regularly had poorer sperm quality and higher rates of ED symptoms, even after adjusting for age and weight. 7. Refined grains. White bread, white pasta, crackers, baked goods. Stripped of their fiber and nutrients, these carbs are digested quickly, leading to blood sugar spikes and insulin dumps. Over time, this causes metabolic syndrome, a cluster of conditions that includes high blood pressure, high blood sugar, and belly fat, all of which are strongly correlated with erectile dysfunction. In fact, one study published in Diabetes Care found that men with metabolic syndrome were more than twice as likely to suffer from moderate to severe ED. Here are the key systems that get compromised, often long before symptoms show up. 1. The vascular system, the highway of erection. This is ground zero. To get an erection, your blood vessels need to relax and open wide. That requires something called endothelial function, a fancy way of saying the inner lining of your arteries needs to be smooth, flexible, and responsive. But the wrong foods cause inflammation. That inflammation damages the endothelium, stiffens your arteries, and shuts down nitric oxide production, the spark that triggers blood flow. So you might feel desire. You might feel mentally ready, but the plumbing doesn't work. It's like trying to fire up a sports car with sugar in the gas tank. A 2020 review in Frontiers in Cardiovascular Medicine described ED as an early warning sign of systemic vascular disease. In other words, your body isn't just failing in the bedroom. It's trying to signal something deeper. 2. Hormones, the silent saboteurs. Testosterone, insulin, cortisol, estrogen. These four hormones operate in a delicate balance, but the wrong foods, they wreck that balance. Sugary foods spike insulin. That insulin crash triggers cortisol, and chronically high cortisol tanks your testosterone. Meanwhile, excess body fat, especially around the belly, converts testosterone into estrogen through an enzyme called aromatase.
So you're not just low T.
You're leaking T. And low testosterone isn't just about libido. It affects energy, mood, muscle mass, and even your sense of drive. A study out of Boston University found that men with metabolic syndrome had testosterone levels nearly 25% lower than their healthy peers. And those same men? They reported more frequent eating. Hormones are not optional. They're the software that runs your biology. And what you eat is constantly programming that software for better or worse. 3. Nerve function, the forgotten factor. Most people don't know this, but erections aren't just hydraulic. They're also electrical. Nerves control the release of nitric oxide. Nerves sense arousal and coordinate the timing of blood flow. And certain foods, especially alcohol and processed meats, can damage these nerve pathways. Diabetic neuropathy is a well-known cause of ED, but even in non-diabetics, chronically elevated blood sugar can dull nerve sensitivity. Think of it like an old Wi-Fi router. The signal drops, the message lags, and by the time your body responds, the moment is past. 4. Testosterone's downstream effects. Testosterone isn't just about sex drive. It plays a role in keeping your arteries flexible, your red blood cells pumping, and your brain sharp. When it drops, so does everything else. Low T increases body fat. Body fat raises estrogen. Estrogen suppresses T even further. It's a self-reinforcing cycle, a hormonal feedback loop that spirals downward. And that loop, it often starts with food. In fact, the European Journal of Endocrinology found that just 1 week of a high-sugar diet was enough to reduce testosterone levels in men by nearly 25%. 1 week. Now, imagine years of that. But here's what makes it worse. We normalize this. We say things like, "I'm just getting older," or "it's stress," or "maybe I need to take a pill." But pills don't fix your arteries. Pills don't lower inflammation. Pills don't stop hormonal decay. They're a short-term patch on a long-term fire. And while they might work for some men, many report diminishing returns, side effects, and a deeper sense of frustration because the root cause is still there. So what does this look like in real life? Let's break it down. A man in his late 40s. He's eating fast food 3 times a week. Drinks socially, sometimes more. Not overweight, but carrying a little belly fat. Energy's down. Sex drive's a bit off. But he figures it's just work stress. Then the frustration starts. He can't perform like he used to. The morning wood is gone. Confidence takes a hit. His partner notices. He pulls back. Starts avoiding intimacy. Feels ashamed. Starts questioning himself. But here's the twist. He's not broken. His body is just reacting to years of quiet damage. No one ever told him that nitrates in deli meat create ages that block nitric oxide. No one told him that skipping leafy greens meant lower nitrate intake and weaker blood vessel function. No one told him that belly fat was chemically converting his masculinity into estrogen. Instead, he's handed a pill and told to relax. It's not enough, because deep down every man knows this isn't just about sex. It's about power. It's about vitality. It's about feeling like yourself again. And the truth, your body wants to heal. It's not too late. Endothelial function can improve. Hormone levels can balance. Nerves can regenerate. Blood flow can return. But it starts with what you put on your plate. The Mediterranean diet. Nitrate-rich vegetables like beets and arugula. Omega-3s from wild fish. Whole grains. Anti-inflammatory herbs like turmeric and ginger. Foods that fuel nitric oxide production instead of choking it off. This isn't about going vegan. It's about being strategic. Eating like your future depends on it, because in many ways it does. Men who shift their diet often report better energy, better mood, and yes, better performance. It's not magic. It's biology realigned. And once you understand what your body is actually asking for, you stop fighting it. You start fueling it. You start reclaiming control, not just in the bedroom, but across your entire life. So now you know what's going on beneath the surface. You know how your food affects your blood vessels, your hormones, your nerves, and ultimately your ability to function like the man you used to be. But here's the real question. What can you actually do about it? We're not here to scare you. We're here to give you tools, a way forward. So, let's talk action. 1. Clean your arteries naturally. Start thinking of your arteries like a garden hose. The smoother the inside lining, the better the flow. But decades of bad food choices? They clog the hose. So the mission is clear. Clean it up. Here's how. Cut saturated and trans fats. Ditch the fried fast food, the greasy takeout, the full-fat dairy bombs. Load up on leafy greens, spinach, arugula, beets. These are nitrate powerhouses. They help restore nitric oxide and keep your arteries flexible. Choose healthy fats. Avocados, walnuts, olive oil, wild-caught salmon. These fight inflammation and help restore endothelial function. The Mediterranean diet isn't just trendy. It's scientifically proven to improve erectile performance. A 2010 study from the University of Naples found that men who followed it closely had significantly fewer ED symptoms than those on a typical Western diet. Food is medicine, but it has to be the right kind. 2. Balance your hormones with food, not pills. If you're dealing with low energy, brain fog, belly fat, or low libido, it might not just be age. It could be your hormones screaming for help. And no, you don't always need injections or pharmaceuticals to fix it. Start with your fork. Ditch refined carbs and sugar. They spike insulin, raise estrogen, and suppress testosterone. Eat cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, kale, cauliflower. They help flush excess estrogen. Add zinc and magnesium. These two minerals are crucial for testosterone production. You'll find them in pumpkin seeds, oysters, and dark leafy greens. And don't forget vitamin D. Low levels have been linked to low testosterone. If you're not getting regular sun, consider a blood test and possibly a supplement with your doctor's guidance. Fixing your hormones starts with fixing your habits. You're not broken, you're just out of balance. 3. Restore nitric oxide like your life depends on it. Because honestly, it kind of does. Nitric oxide is the molecule that tells your blood vessels to open up. Without it, there's no blood flow, no erection, no performance. Here's how to boost it naturally. Eat nitrate-rich plants, beets, celery, arugula, spinach. Reduce oxidative stress. Avoid smoking, manage stress, and get good sleep. Move your body daily. Even 20 minutes of walking improves nitric oxide production. Stay hydrated. Dehydration thickens your blood and strains your circulation. And here's a kicker. Mouthwash can lower nitric oxide levels by killing off the good bacteria in your saliva that help convert nitrates. So, if you're using strong antiseptic rinses every day, you may be sabotaging your own flow. Little things add up. 4. Upgrade your sleep, stress, and movement. You could eat like a saint, but if you're sleeping 4 hours a night, chronically stressed and sedentary, you're still pouring water into a leaky bucket. Here's what to focus on. Sleep. 7 to 8 hours minimum. Poor sleep wrecks testosterone, raises cortisol, and dulls nerve function. Stress. Chronic stress keeps your body in fight or flight. That kills arousal and restricts blood flow. Exercise. Strength training boosts testosterone. Cardio improves circulation. Together, they transform you. Think of movement and sleep as your body's daily reboot. Skip them and the system crashes. 5. Get checked and get smart. This is the part most men avoid. They wait. They guess. They hope it fixes itself. But knowledge is power. Go get your labs done. Ask your doctor for a total and free testosterone panel, lipid profile, cholesterol levels, HbA1c, and fasting glucose, blood sugar, inflammation markers like CRP, PSA for prostate health. You're not being paranoid. You're taking command of your future. Because here's the hard truth. Erectile dysfunction isn't just a bedroom problem. It's often the first visible symptom of cardiovascular disease, hormonal decline, or metabolic dysfunction. Ignoring it is like ignoring the check engine light. You can keep driving, but you may not like where you end up. So instead of feeling shame, feel urgency, feel motivation. You've got more control than you think. This is